Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Tuesday, October 13th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Slowly but surely, more children are getting back into the classroom. But for these parents protesting ahead of tonight's San Diego Unified School Board meeting, it's not happening fast enough. The district says it's hearing them out, but safety is their top priority. And KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman is live at district's headquarters in University Heights. Matt, this has been a growing issue for some time.
Yeah, Maya, really a long time coming here as we see this, the largest district in San Diego County, taking the first steps of reopening for in-person learning. Today is the first day, but not for everyone. We're just talking about small groups of kids, I should say. Not everyone is happy, though. I want to show you here in University Heights, parents out here protesting. This is a group called Reopen SDUSD, and we can show you some video from earlier. They were out protesting here outside the board headquarters. They say all students should be able to go back to school, and some parents are struggling with distance learning options. They also worry about their kids' mental health staying at home. They plan to raise their concerns at a Board of Trustees meeting this evening. Now, it is worth noting there was another group of parents out here from the district who support a phased-in approach. And district officials say they're sticking with a plan that they released in August.
We want to listen to the perspectives of all parents, but we're also clear about what we think is the right way to proceed, and we will follow that plan. Even as we listen to all of the perspectives that are out there in our community.
Today was the first day of limited in-person instruction for more than 100 elementary schools inside the San Diego Unified School District. That includes students at Lafayette Elementary in Claremont.
We've got to first and foremost focus on the health and safety of our students and of our staff on campus.
Under the district's Phase 1 plan, only students facing learning challenges are eligible to return to the classroom.
We were looking at students that were struggling in the online learning environment to make sure that we could add on to what they were doing. Not every student is struggling online.
Kids are only on campus for a couple hours at a time, and then they do online work at home. Only about 25 students at Lafayette Elementary have returned to the classroom so far. Many of those students are hearing impaired and are working in classrooms with 6 or less kids.
Some students are here one day a week for a couple hours. We have some students that need to be here 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday. So it's really based on student need.
San Diego Unified's reopening plan was crafted with help from UC San Diego experts. This is a look at what a full classroom could look like with plastic dividers.
This has been a challenge for everybody, and not just in San Diego Unified, but we certainly understand, and our parents have been partners with us here at Lafayette to make sure that we're doing everything we can to support students academically, but really what we're seeing a lot of struggle with is the social emotional aspect. Parents are having to be the teachers and work and do everything, so we're trying to help out as much as possible.
Yeah, as you can see, parents still out here voicing their displeasure with the school. Now, part of the district's reopening plan includes monitoring case rates and COVID trends throughout the community, and this partial return to the classroom is voluntary and ultimately up to parents. And district officials tell us they expect those class sizes, even though they're small right now, to grow over the coming weeks. Here in University Heights, Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
Thanks, Matt. And we're not moving up, but we're not moving down either. San Diego County is remaining in the red tier 2 for another week. Today, local health officials announced the highest number of coronavirus deaths we've seen in recent weeks. That's 14. There are also 278 new cases. While updating county tier assignments today, California's Secretary of Health and Human Services also outlined new state guidelines for Halloween. Trick-or-treating is not outright banned, but it is strongly discouraged.
Does that mean that trick-or-treaters, there'll be some enforcement? Absolutely not. We don't want to turn certainly what is a celebration and a time of joy into something that is difficult or contentious, but we also recognize the need to provide clear a clear understanding about the risks and why we recommend strongly that we do Halloween differently than we have in the past.
Instead, the state advises families celebrate together at home by decorating or watching scary movies. And in line with the new rules about small gatherings, as many as 3 households can get together outdoors while wearing masks. UC San Diego has put its COVID-19 vaccine trial in National City on hold. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayers says the local trial is on pause because one participant from the global study developed an unexplained illness.
The trial was supposed to begin today in National City's Toyon Park, but vaccine maker Johnson & Johnson put the study on hold for the moment.
It simply means that we are waiting for safety regulators to review the event that occurred somewhere, don't know where, for some participant to see if the event is serious enough to wait and do a more thorough evaluation or reactivate the trial and let us start enrolling.
Johnson & Johnson isn't disclosing the nature of the illness that struck a participant in the global study. A spokesperson for the company said they don't yet know whether that person received their experimental vaccine or a placebo shot. Dr. Little says this sort of thing isn't unusual.
Pauses occur all the time during large phase 3 clinical trials. So this is a trial of 60,000 individuals. So it wouldn't be unusual for another pause to occur.
The pause is at least the second such hold to occur among several COVID-19 vaccines that have reached large-scale final tests in the U.S. National City was chosen as the location for the local vaccine trial as it has been one of the hardest-hit neighborhoods in San Diego County.
I have submitted my name and my application for this COVID-19 trial because I believe it's part and parcel to being a good leader.
Once cleared to restart their trial, Johnson & Johnson will recruit up to 60,000 participants around the world to assess their COVID-19 vaccine over the next 2 years. Jacob Ayers, KPBS News.
Today, the U.S. Supreme Court ordered a stop to the census count after a lower court ruled it could continue until October 31st. The Trump administration shortened the count by a month, saying it needed more time to crunch the numbers before the end of the year. Census organizers have worried it will lead to an undercount in difficult-to-reach communities. As of this evening, you can still fill out your census online at 2020census.gov. The California Republican Party has removed unofficial ballot boxes placed in several cities after an order by the state attorney general. Boxes that were marked as secure drop boxes were reported in Los Angeles, Fresno, and Orange County. Republicans argued their collection of ballots is no different than a third party collecting signed ballot envelopes, which is legal. But the Secretary of State says putting out unofficial ballot boxes is illegal. KPBS reporter Shalina Chatlani spoke to our county registrar of voters about whether it could happen here.
Polls are already open here in San Diego, and if you look behind me at the county registrar voter office, people are already dropping off their ballots. But with reports of there potentially being fake ballot drop-offs, we had to come here to ask registrar of voters Michael Vu whether that could potentially happen here in San Diego.
We have had no reports of any unofficial mail ballot drop-off locations being established here in San Diego County.
Vu says there are already 1.9 million registered voters here that would be able to tip off the registered voters office if there's any unofficial activity. Plus, there are some factors voters can look out for to know if their ballot boxes are legit.
You can go to sdvote.com. That's where all of the official mail ballot drop-off locations that we are staffing. 125 of the 126 locations. The 126 is a mail ballot drop-off box, which is open 24/7 here in the Kearny Mesa area. Or in every single one of the mail ballot packets that we printed and issued to voters, on the back of the voter information card is your 3 closest mail ballot drop-off locations. You will know that those are officially established by our office.
If you're like me and you didn't register early enough to receive a mail-in ballot the first round that they were sent out, you can come to the registrar of voters office and check in on your registration to make sure that you will get one, but know that you will get a mail-in ballot in the second batch. So I'm going to check in on my registration right now.
And it was pretty simple. Just say your name, address, and birth date, and you should be good to go. By the way, if you don't want to wait for the mail-in ballot, ask the staff at the registrar's office to give you a ballot now, and they'll cancel the one in the mail. Also, Vu says voters this year can sign up online to track their ballots even before they receive it.
That now you can track your own respective mail ballot as it's being issued to you. You can go to our website at sdvote.com, provide us your cell phone number or your email address, and track your ballot as it's getting to you through the U.S. Postal Service.
Vu says the next batch of ballots for voters who registered a little bit later should be coming out soon.
Go ahead and drop it in the box. Yep. All right, you're all set.
Shalina Chatlani, KPBS News.
And the county registrar of voters has received more than 137,000 completed ballots for this November election. Each will go through this sorting machine that captures images of voters' signatures for comparison to ones the registrar has on file. More than 7 million Americans have already voted. It's the second day of Supreme Court confirmation hearings for President Trump's nominee, Amy Coney Barrett. With the election just 3 weeks away, Camila Bernal shows us how Barrett's nomination is becoming a campaign event.
Judge Amy Coney Barrett facing questions from the Senate Judiciary Committee. But with Election Day approaching, the hearings also used to appeal to voters.
I would say you're one of the greatest picks President Trump could have made.
This hearing is not normal. It is a sham. It is a rush to put in a justice.
Powerless to slow the proceedings, Democrats instead using their time to highlight top campaign issues like civil rights, women's reproductive rights, and the Affordable Care Act.
This is not an abstract academic argument. It's one that will have real life consequences.
Democrats also pressing Barrett on how she would act in the event of a contested election.
I can't offer a legal conclusion right now about the outcome of the decision I would reach.
Which is sort of boilerplate response on recusals.
Republicans, too, taking advantage of the platform to boast their conservative credentials.
From my point of view, Obamacare has been a disaster for the state of South Carolina.
And lambasting Democrats for their lines of questioning.
It's an awful lot of rhetoric about power.
For her part, Amy Coney Barrett aiming to appear impartial.
Senator, I have no agenda.
And clarifying that her judicial philosophy is uniquely her own.
If I'm confirmed, you would not be getting Justice Scalia, you would be getting Justice Barrett.
In Washington, I'm Camila Bernal.
Today, in-person jury selection began for the first criminal trial at San Diego Superior Court since March. Officials have taken a number of precautionary measures for safety. The juror pool will be reduced to about 20% of the typical number. Courtrooms have undergone some remodeling, too. Today's trial is serving as a test case for restarting trials at other county courthouses. Padres outfielder Tommy Pham is expected to make a full recovery after he was stabbed. The Padres say Pham is in good condition after being stabbed outside a strip club in the Midway District late Sunday night. Police have no suspects at this time, and in a tweet, Pham said he will be back to his off-season training routine in no time. The San Diego City Council District 3 seat has been held by a member of the LGBTQ community since 1993, and it will stay that way after the November election. KPBS reporter John Carroll talked to the two candidates vying for the seat.
District 3 encompasses what you might call the heart of San Diego, from where the city began in what is now Old Town to Balboa Park, downtown to Hillcrest, Mission Hills to University Heights. Democrats Stephen Whitburn and Tony Duran, both members of the LGBTQ community, are vying for the seat.
I'm the one candidate in this race who has run an organization, the one candidate who's led a staff, the one who has balanced an organizational budget.
Those are some of the reasons Stephen Whitburn says he's the best candidate to succeed Chris Ward. Ward is now running for the Assembly District 78 seat, being vacated by Todd Gloria, who's running for mayor. Gloria held the seat from 2008 to 2016. Tony Duran says her time working for State Senator Tony Atkins makes her the better candidate, and she points to what she calls her lived experience.
As a woman, as a Latina, as a member of the LGBTQ community, as a person that's come from a lower income background, I think I know I can speak to that better.
Both Whitburn and Duran say the companion issues of homelessness and housing are top priorities. Whitburn says a community action plan adopted by the city last year is finally moving things in the right direction.
It has 3 housing components. Rapid rehousing, which is essentially prevention, making sure that people who are at risk of homelessness get the help they need to stay in their homes. Shelter for those who are already out on the streets, and long-term permanent supportive housing so that people can find a home and receive, in many cases, the treatment that they need.
Duran says the recent decision to designate the old Mission Hills Library as a historic resource was a mistake. The ruling scuttled plans to use the site for affordable housing. She sees that as a missed opportunity.
We keep talking about how we need to build up, increased density around transit priority areas. And that's exactly what we should be doing. But we also have to make sure that we have the transit available before we start building up.
The pandemic has hit San Diego's economy hard. Whitburn says once we start to come out of the crisis, there needs to be a focus on creating high-paying jobs.
Horton Plaza is being converted to a tech hub. Those will be good new jobs coming into downtown. The Pacific Gateway project, the old Navy Broadway complex, that is being converted largely into what appears to be a life sciences cluster.
Whitburn bested Duran by about 4,000 votes in the primary. John Carroll, KPBS News.
Proposition 14 asks California voters to approve $5.5 billion in bonds for stem cell research. KPBS science and technology reporter Shalina Chatlani breaks down the arguments on both sides.
Back in 2004, under the Bush administration, California voters decided to issue $3 billion in bonds so that the state could create CIRM, or the California Institute for Regenerative Medicine. This was at a time when the federal government closed off funding for stem cell research for religious reasons. But now that money has dried up, and supporters like UC San Diego health neuroscientist Larry Goldstein say voters should agree to provide more money.
So Prop 14 at $500 million a year against a multi-hundred billion dollar disease problem, when we're successful, that is a very highly leveraged and successful investment. Not only have a number of therapies been developed and proven to be useful, but we have numerous experimental therapies in progress. So there are 60 so-called clinical trials, which are tests with human subjects of a potential therapy. CIRM is directly funding those 60.
Goldstein has gotten around $21 million from CIRM for his research. But Jeff Sheehy, who has been on the governing board of CIRM since its start, says the proposal means more state debt when the federal government is now spending billions on stem cell research.
One, we did our job, and we don't need to add 260 more a year in debt. Number two, the research is already well funded by the federal government to the tune of $2.1 billion a year. Three, the new measure changes existing policy, and instead of trying to get a return for the state, it actually takes any money we make from products and gives it back to the companies as subsidies for the products that they make.
Supporters like Goldstein say the money from the first proposal has gone to some FDA-approved therapies that have saved lives. But opponents say that's only a handful of benefits for an over-decade-long experiment, and the state isn't making money back from it.
It was supposed to pay for itself, and it hasn't. And it needs to come back. We need to bring this back under the control of the legislature and the governor and the state.
A no vote means the government wouldn't tack on state debt to finance stem cell research, while a yes vote means more bonds issued to finance the institute. Shalina Chatlani, KPBS News.
A reminder to check out our KPBS voter guide. The online resource is customizable to the races on your ballot. You can find the link on our homepage at kpbs.org. Another heat wave is scorching San Diego County, and it's expected to only get hotter as the week goes on. Mark Mancuso has your forecast.
Our heat wave continues all week, and widespread heat and widespread sunshine. Temperatures warm to the 80s in the beaches, just going inland a little bit. We'll be in the 90s, and then we'll see temperatures in the triple digits. High pressure gradually weakens over the weekend, so temperatures will come down just a couple of degrees, but they'll still be well above average, and we're still dry. Heat advisories, they are in effect right through Friday, so use common sense, hydrate, stay in the air conditioning if you can. Temperatures tonight, 54 Oceanside, 65 San Diego, El Cajon, 64, Ramona, 54, Borrego Springs, 67, and Mount Laguna at 54. For tomorrow, much more of the same, widespread heat, some locally gusty winds, so there will be the enhanced wildfire risk. And as we take our look at our temperatures, it's hot. Forecast high, 87 in Oceanside, San Diego, 88. Escondido, 93, and El Cajon, 97. Now keep in mind, average highs are in the low 80s here, and they're close to 90 in the desert. We'll be up to 103 in Borrego Springs and Campo at 95. No changes here Thursday, sunny, and it's hot, and the fire danger increases, but it looks like that's mainly to our north and northern and central California, but we'll still have that enhanced fire risk here. And as we take a look at our temperatures, you can see how warm it is. You know, average highs this time of year, lower 70s. We could hit 90 on Thursday. And in the inland sections, average highs in the low 80s. And there you can see we're up near the century mark. But notice over the weekend, temperatures come down just a smidgen. Mountains well above average. Temperatures come down a little bit Sunday. And in the deserts, now average highs are closer to 90. And we'll be up in the triple digits, perhaps coming down a couple of degrees over the weekend. But it's hot. And for KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Mark Mancuso.
The San Diego City Council voted unanimously today to purchase 2 hotels to be converted into housing. The Housing Commission's purchase of residents in hotels on Hotel Circle and in Kearny Mesa will accommodate as many as 400 people experiencing homelessness. The Commission has committed federal rental housing vouchers to help the residents of these units pay their rent. The units should be available by December 31st.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, senators question Judge Amy Coney Barrett, President Trump's 3rd nominee to the Supreme Court. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Our local tourism industry is still struggling to rebound from the pandemic. KPBS reporter Eric Anderson spoke recently with Julie Coker, the head of the San Diego Tourism Authority, about the impact.
To date, just the conventions that the San Diego Tourism Authority booked, we've lost 47 conventions since March of this year. That's close to $1.2 billion in economic impact, over 700,000 room nights that our hotels would have consumed. And again, that's just a piece of the pie. We've also lost groups that our hotels are unable to hold at this time, any meeting, convention, or trade show. So in terms of the convention market, the meetings market right now, it's really devastated. As you know, we still don't have direction from the state as to when we'll be able to hold controlled gatherings. So right now, we don't have any gatherings at the convention center through the end of this calendar year. And we're seeing some slippage already in January and February, which is concerning.
Things are really, really bad in March. A lot of businesses completely closed, hospitality industry, restaurants. How far back have we come?
So we're fortunate that as of June, hotels were open for leisure stays. And we saw a very strong demand, especially Thursday, Friday, Saturday, as you can imagine, weekend stays. That has continued through the summer months. And then since Labor Day, we've seen obviously a sharp decline on our weekday business. And that's always been a challenge for us because San Diego has been fortunate to have a number of conventions that were booked throughout the summer months that cover Sunday through Thursday, as well as that business traveler. So we've lost the convention traveler. We've also lost the business traveler, which has impacted the weekdays. So right now we're running about 50% occupancy, which is significantly less than we traditionally do. Traditionally right now we would be sold out every weekend in the fall, and then we would be running about 80–85% occupancy in our hotels weekday. So this is a prime convention business traveler season right now that we're not being able to take advantage of. So we're doing better than most cities, but we still are significantly lower than where we should be.
How does not having all of the region's visitor attractions open and available to the extent that they were before COVID. How does that impact the decision to come to San Diego?
So the good thing about San Diego is that we have some natural resources here that others don't. We've got miles and miles of beautiful beaches. We've got a welcoming community that's diverse and inclusive. And then, of course, we have our great cultural attractions, Balboa Park, USS Midway, the zoo, the safari, SeaWorld. So that has really helped. Certainly, we would love to have all of our attractions being able to open. Legoland, that certainly adds to the product that we can offer visitors. But right now, what we have is definitely a driver to the destination. Really, what we're missing is that business and convention traveler.
What are you doing to help bring some of that business back?
Certainly, as we know as business professionals, as long as we have Wi-Fi, we can work anywhere and we can be efficient anywhere. So why not do it in a destination that has great outdoors, an awesome hospitality community, and a lot to offer. So we have really reached the traveler where they are. If you're local, stay vacation here. If you are in a regional drive audience, we have something for you. But then more importantly, if you are looking to travel down the road, November, December, January, we would want that to be San Diego. And so our messages are being communicated in that way.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley. And by the following: and by viewers like you. Thank you.